So, thought transmission. A lot of you have asked me about thought transmission and phone call method in my previous video, and I'm going to get into it in this video because it's all connected, because the phone call method is also basically transmitting your thoughts. Just before I get into it, I just want to quickly say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for all the support you give me in general, but especially in my last video about how I manifested my boyfriend back. The support, the love, it just warmed my heart. Like, I don't want to be cheesy and corny or whatever, but like it warmed my heart. I did not honestly expect it that much, and thank you. Like, I really cherish and appreciate your love, your support, and your trust. I will never take it for granted. I appreciate you subscribing. It's like, because that tells me you see something in me that you can resonate with. And that's what I want. I want you to be able to resonate with me. I want you to see me as a human being. Like, I want to bring realness and simplicity into this community. And I want to normalize the human part of this journey, which has unfortunately been demonized by so many people in the community. And okay, let me not go overboard. Thank you. So let's talk thought transmission. I personally love this concept. And one thing that you have to understand is that thought transmission, although it may seem like something coming from a science fiction movie, it's like, oh, you're transmitting your thoughts to somebody's picking up your thoughts. It sounds insane. But the thing is, I only speak from personal experience. I only speak about things that I have tested, that I have given myself proof of, and obviously what science has proven, okay? Because thought transmission is a scientifically backed up, proven concept, thanks to quantum entanglement, okay? Now, quantum entanglement, I'm not going to get into the technicals of this whole thing. Like, it will take too long. Okay, now you can obviously do your own research. I did talk about it in the lectures of my course. You can also listen to it there if you want. But basically, we're all one. Okay, now stay with me. We are all one from divine consciousness. There's one divine consciousness, and we are all individuals from that one divine consciousness. Okay, now because of that, you and your SP, you and me, you and everybody else, we are not separate energetically. We are separate physically, okay? But not energetically, not consciously. So you and your SP, although you may be physically separate right now, you are still one. You are still connected. I promise you. I was separated with my SP, with my boyfriend for a while, but physically, okay, I was able to manifest him back because we are one, because I was successfully transmitting my thoughts to him. So when you think of your SP, those thoughts don't just stay in your head. They don't just stay in your mind. They travel. And your SP picks up those thoughts. But the key is they receive them as their own thoughts. So if you're affirming something like, let's say your SP's name is John, I always say John, and you say something like, you affirm something like, John loves me, John loves me, John loves me. Simple. John starts thinking about you slowly but surely. John starts seeing signs that remind them of you. John starts seeing people that remind them of you. John starts hearing songs that remind him of you. You see where I'm going with this? And then he starts thinking, oh my God, I miss her. Should I call her? I should probably call her. What is she doing? Who's she with? John starts thinking about you. Thinking thoughts align with your affirmation of John loves me. And you, by persisting, you're allowing John to come in to prove you that he loves you. Now, if your SP is somebody that doesn't necessarily know you, you are still transmitting your thoughts to them, right? But it's not like they're going to start thinking about you, because think about it. If I think about Beyonce and transmit my thoughts to Beyonce, it's not like she's going to start thinking about me because the woman doesn't know who I am, right? But when you persist in the affirmations of the outcome that you want to experience with that SP, you are basically bending reality to unfold in ways to bring you circumstances and events and situations and people that's going to allow you to meet with your SP you to be with your SP. Now, it can start to happen over social media. It can happen in real life. It can happen through a third party or a fifth party. It doesn't matter. What matters, it's inevitable that it's going to happen. So when you're affirming things, John and I are together. John and I are happy together. John and I are in a healthy, loving relationship. John loves me. John loves me. John loves me. John starts thinking those thoughts or thoughts that align with your affirmations. So all those affirmations that you are saying, the visualizations, the meditations, the scripting, the phone call method, which I will get into, everything that you are doing, your SP is picking up on that, is processing those thoughts. Now, one thing you have to remember is that your SP is a human being and they are processing those thoughts, their own thoughts, as a human being. And those thoughts that they're having, that they're processing, they awaken emotions, right? And again, as a human being, they need to process those emotions and those thoughts. And what people tend to forget is it sometimes takes a little bit of time to process certain emotions and certain thoughts. But when you persist in affirming those certain thoughts that you are transmitting to your SP processes them faster, I guess, and more confidently. As long as you're not wavering, as long as you're not going back and forth with your own thoughts, they're not going back and forth. They're getting more clear and clear with, the thoughts of being with you. So don't confuse them by wavering. Because if you're thinking, John loves me, John loves me, John loves me, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, however many times a day, but the rest of the day you're, arguing with John in your mind, or you're thinking that it's not working, or you're thinking that John is with somebody else, then John is thinking, I miss her, I miss her, I miss her. Should I be with her? Should I call her? Should I do this? Should I do that? You start wavering, John starts wavering. John starts getting confused. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. She doesn't want anything to do with me either way. Oh, we're not compatible. Oh, this, all that. Don't confuse John. Don't confuse yourself. Be clear with what you want. And I know intrusive thoughts are still going to be popping in, but I want you to remember that intrusive thoughts are not something that you can control. Intrusive thoughts are going to be, they're always going to be popping in. You can be married with your SP and you're still going to have intrusive thoughts about your SP, about anything in life, because intrusive thoughts are something that we cannot control. What we can control is how we handle them, if we entertain them or we shut them down. But if you start entertaining intrusive thoughts, you start wavering. Once you start wavering, you eventually start spiraling. And whenever intrusive thoughts pops in, you redirect it to a favorable thought. So let's take the phone method, for example. How I did it was I would put my phone on airplane mode. I would either have headphones or I would literally put it to my ear and I would speak to my SP. I would speak to him as if we are actually on the phone together. Now, mind you, I could be in public walking my dog and I would be speaking to him. I didn't care. I didn't care. Nobody knew I wasn't actually speaking to somebody, though I was, my SP. And what I would talk to him about would really depend on my mood in the moment. Because one moment I would be talking to him like everything was normal. We were together and I would be talking to him about, hey, like, do we have milk at home? Like, do you need me to buy something? Like plain regular things that we used to talk about over the phone while we were together, like, hey, do you want to go out for dinner somewhere? Blah, 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 blah. I would hear him. I would hear his voice answering me back, the things that he would say in the way that he would say them. Now, do you need to hear your SP's voice? Absolutely not. It's the intention behind it. It's the fact that you are doing it. It's the fact that you're sending those thoughts. You are sending out that energy to your SP. And moments later, I would feel extremely anxious. I would start crying again because all the thoughts of what's currently happening would hit me. And, I would start crying and everything. And I would call him again, speak to him. And because it was my fault that we broke up, I would just, cry and apologize and tell him that I'm sorry and that I love you, I would never hurt you. Please forgive me. I never meant anything bad to happen. I never meant anything ill. I was never malicious. I was just stupid. I was dumb. I would tell him, we are soulmates, we belong together. And again, I would say things to him that I wanted him to realize, that I wanted him to reflect back to me. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes when I would do the phone call method and, say things like that, I would actually hear him say, things like, don't bother calling me again, don't move on with your life, just stop calling me. And that, like, I would hurt my own feelings so much sometimes, and I couldn't control it because it's those intrusive thoughts. Like, I could not control it. Um, but the more those intrusive thoughts would pop up, the more I had to persist in favorable thoughts. Something I didn't mention in my last video of me manifesting him back. Like I said, I didn't work on my self-concept, but something else I didn't do was I didn't regulate my nervous system. Now, I did regulate it in the sense of I released frustration, I released sadness by crying. So crying and releasing energy in a certain way is also therapeutic, cathartic, and regulates your nervous system basically. But I needed to regulate my nervous system. So by breath work, by meditation, by EFT tapping or butterfly tapping, or any sort of method or exercise that you prefer, I highly recommend that you regulate your nervous system daily. Like, make it part of your routine. It will make it so much easier to deal with intrusive thoughts, to deal with, circumstances, because a lot of the times we are our own biggest triggers because of those intrusive thoughts that we have, but you can't control, and because of how we react to circumstances in the 3D. So please regulate your nervous system. But yeah, I would sometimes hear him say those negative things. And again, I would just have to redirect it to be something that is actually favorable to me and to my desired outcome with him. And sometimes the conversations would last a minute or two. Sometimes, like, I specifically remember the longest conversation, like with the phone call method that I had with him was almost 15 minutes. I know it sounds like a lot. Like, imagine 15 minutes talking to nobody, basically. But in my heart, I knew I was speaking to him. Like, you cannot tell me, and you still cannot tell me that I was talking to nobody, because I know that I was talking to him and that I reached him. Like, I'm getting emotional actually, because it's like, okay, I'm getting emotional because not because of the sad parts or anything. Like, I'm getting emotional because of the happiness that I'm feeling, because everything obviously worked out, but because I persisted. I didn't give up. And let me tell you something. I really think that the fear and the sadness that I felt, the tremendous sadness and anxiety and guilt that I felt, was was what kept me going, because I needed him back in my life. I wanted him back in my life pronto, and I was not going to stop. I would do whatever it took, however long it took. When I tell you I wasn't focused on the time, I promise you I wasn't focused on the time. It could have, even if it took me 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, I would have still persisted, because I don't care how long it takes me. I care about being with him. So I'm not going to condition it by a certain time frame. It needs to happen in 2 days, or it needs to happen in 7 days. Like, the fact that it happened in 7 days, to me, it sounds so cliche, because you see so many videos titled, get your SP back in 21 days, get your SP back in 7 days, like in a week or whatever. So I was thinking, like, should I even do this video? Like, 7 days? It sounds so fake. But I'm it's it happened. And I'm not any better than you. Nobody is better than you. I'm telling you, the only thing that people who have experienced success in anything is because they persisted. They were committed. Oh, and another thing, when you're feeling sad, if this helps you, you can think of it as not your sadness, but the sadness that you are picking up from your SP, because your SP is sad because of you. Deep down, they are hurting because of you. They miss you. They crave you. They ache for you. So you are not the source of that sadness. You are picking up their emotions. If that helps you, you can think of it like that. Because remember, it's going to be in the way that you persist that it's going to be. So keep talking to your SP. Send them love, send them encouragement, welcome them in your life. If it was your fault, if it was their fault, it doesn't matter what happened, what the current circumstance is. Welcome them back in your life. Send them love. Connect to them energetically. It doesn't matter if you guys were together before or you weren't together before. It doesn't matter if your SP knows you or doesn't know you. Speak to them. They feel you. They think about you. And remember, you can't see your SP. So you don't know how often they think about you, how many times a day they think about you. They could be thinking about you right now. And if you persist that they are, they are. Because your SP can only show up in the way that you assume they will, because they don't have free will. Nobody has free will in your reality. Your SP does not have free will. But what they do have is your narrative on them. It's keeping them who they are being right now, this current version. So if you want another version of your SP to show up, then change the narrative of your SP. Don't be stubborn and cling on to this old, unfavorable version that, does nothing for you, that does nothing for your relationship. Don't cling on of the version of yourself that does nothing for the relationship that you want to have. It's not like you just let go once, and that's it. It's not like you're dropping something and that it's gone, You do it every single day. Every single time something from the old narrative wants to creep back in is when you drop it. And you drop it by turning to the favorable version of yourself, of your SP, of any outcome that you want. That's what it means to drop it. That's what it means to let it go. Don't let it go just once. You let it go every single day, multiple times a day, however many times that you need. And eventually it doesn't come back. Or it comes back rarely, but stay committed. Oh, and thank you to Jasmine. Thank you to Jasmine for suggesting the word commit instead of persistent. Actually, such a good word to use. I mean, obviously, I'm still going to be using persist because I think it's like imprinted in my brain and it just comes out automatically, but commit. Commit to the outcome that you want to experience, whatever that outcome is. Commit to it. Commit to it. This is me holding your hand. You got this. Okay? I promise you, you got this.